Alec Murdaugh has a prison job now. I actually had someone who is a viewer of the channel reach out to me on Instagram and inform me in a recent search of his prison, kind of file with some of his information on there. He has now been assigned a prison job, and that prison job is the title of it is Ward Keeper. Now, as someone who has done a decade in this same South Carolina prisons, I know what a ward keeper is. I know the entire ins and out of that job. I know the downsides. I know the upsides. So I'm just going to explain what that is and, what that means for Alec Murdaugh. Certain times of the day where all the inmates are locked down, the ward keepers, who are actually the designated ones who are supposed to be coming out to clean up, they'll be let out of their cells while everyone else is locked down so that they're free to do their job. People aren't walking everywhere while they're mopping, sweeping. Basically what he's required to do, he comes out during these designated times, cleans up. He just cleans up. But here's some advantages from an inmate perspective to this job. You are out when no one else is out. So if things need to be passed from cell to cell, it's not uncommon for, they're going to call him, Alec, or the ward keeper over there to their cell. Hey, man, pass this note, or, pass this contraband, pass this bag of tobacco, pass this to cell 203 downstairs for me, blah, blah, blah. And commonly, if Alec smartens up and realizes what the common hustle as a ward keeper is, the common thing to do is, I'm going to charge you a little bit for running this errand for you. So a lot of ward keepers will make money day by day, all day long, for running errands, passing notes, passing stuff, passing food, passing contraband all over. Because if I got to run around and do all this stuff, these are big dorms. You're going to be going upstairs, going down. It's a workout, and you come out and there's like 10, 15 people. Hey, come here. Cell 23, cell 23. Hey, come here. Everyone's shouting for you. So you'll be running around all day. So it's not an uncommon thing for people to, all right, I'll pass this $20 bag of contraband. Go ahead and slide me $2 for doing it, if you really want me to do it. Otherwise, how are you going to get it down there? But does Alec Murdaugh, is he that confident to kind of be assertive with that hustle and with that demand? Like, okay, I'll do this. You give me has he adjusted that much yet to prison? Maybe, probably not, is my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe. Who knows? Will he soon adjust? I think so, over time. Also, another advantage, or you could say disadvantage, ward keepers, again, because they're always out when most inmates are locked down, you'll see a lot of times where the inmate is kind of hanging out in this Sally Port style office where the CO sits, the correctional officer. Now, when he gets up and does his round every 30 minutes or so, he'll go around, look in every cell, make sure no one's dead or killed, and then go sit back in his office. Usually has a little fan because the AC and heat is just almost always broken in there. So he's got his fan, he's got his, stuff. He's got his little backpack full of snacks, just sitting there in his office. And a lot of times these ward keepers, once they're done with their job, they might go hang out in the office. And listen, you got to understand, it's there are some pretty cool corrections officers out there. That doesn't mean they're crooked. Just because a corrections officer can talk to an inmate and be respectful and get respect back, and I can tell you a little about myself, and you can tell me a little about yourself, and we can get to know each other. That doesn't mean that I'm like, all right, now that we know each other, let me bring you some contraband. That doesn't mean they're bad just because they're not like, don't talk to me, do your job, now get back in your, you got some cool, laid back, pretty easy to talk to guys in there. And that doesn't mean that they're breaking the rules of their job, so you'll have some inmates, the ward keepers, they'll hang out in that office and they'll get to know that corrections officer, and several of them, because you have different shifts coming in and out. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, now, hang on, an inmate hanging out in the corrections officer office where they're just talking and no one else can hear. Wouldn't that be suspicious? Isn't that a bad look? Isn't that a bad move as far as how the other inmates are going to look at him? Aren't they going to suspect him of maybe he's telling and snitching? You're not supposed to talk to the police. It's not that serious. Well, and that can be true. You can have inmates who are doing that. And yes, but it's not that cut and dry. Just because you're doing that and hanging out in there doesn't automatically mean, oh, this guy, see this guy, he's snitching. Like, if that was the case and it was just that apparent and that immediate of a conclusion drawn, nobody would hang out. That wouldn't be smart of a prison snitch to do, because everyone can look out of their cell window and just see you in that office. You're basically waving a flag saying, I'm a snitch, if that was the case. So no, that's not always the case. And a lot of times, and what's more likely, especially because the least likely inmate to be a prison snitch, a jailhouse snitch, is someone who has life sentences like Alec Murdaugh. You have to be there forever. And once you have even the suspicion, the allegation of being a snitch in prison, you'll never get it off you. You'll never, even if you did it one time and you never do it again for another 15 years, you'll never get that accusation and that reputation off of you. So it's, and I'm sure, call him what you want. I'm sure that he understands that. So I don't think he'd be doing that. So there's many times where an inmate will hang out in the office, get to know the officer, and you often get to a level with this officer where you might get a little information. Oh, the search team is on the yard. They have search teams that come and they kind of just rush into certain dorms, cell blocks, and just kind of mass, 20, 30 staff members at a time, just kind of shake down cells like all at once, try to catch everyone off guard. Let me find your cell phones, your knives, your contraband, they like surprise attack type of stuff. And a lot of times, man, you can get to talking to officers. Hey, they'll find stuff out. The search team's coming tomorrow, 8 a.m. They're hitting our dorm, and then they're going next door to cell block number 3, stuff like that. Or, the warden's coming around at 5 o'clock today. So make sure everyone has their, stuff in order, anything that you're not supposed to do that usually isn't enforced, but the warden, because he's the warden, will enforce it. Make sure everything's, little stuff like that. So oftentimes a ward keeper is able to bring back information from this corrections officer, whether the CO really realizes it. And if you don't know CO, it's what we call corrections officers, CO. The CO, maybe he realizes it. Maybe he feels cool enough with you to give you that information, or maybe he doesn't even realize. And, an inmate has been able to just kind of get this out of him without him realizing it. And, ward keepers can bring back some information that you wouldn't even realize is important and valuable and helps these inmates just to know and be aware of. And he'll be able to bring that back and kind of spread it around. He might, because he's sweeping up, he might stop by a few cells. Hey, be careful, blah, 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 blah. And now Alec Murdaugh becomes very important. He's a valuable resource. He's very important. Can you imagine? There's 5 guys. They're powerful, influential gang members, dangerous. They have a lot of say-so, a lot of control over a large group of inmates on that yard. And they all have cell phones, knives, and contraband in their room. And Alec Murdaugh is able to figure out when you might need to be on the lookout and maybe like hide your stuff extra good or kind of get rid of it so you don't get charged with it. Hey, today's Wednesday. They said Friday, 8 a.m. They're coming. They're coming to just, hey, figure your stuff out. Get your affairs in order and get your stuff together. They're coming Friday at 8 a.m. That's what Officer so-and-so said. Who else is able to get that information? Alec will become very important to very powerful people just in that scenario, but that is what happens a lot of times. Like I said, I've done a decade there, and I understand how it works. That's a pretty good job position if he really is going out and fulfilling his duties and using it to his advantage. Wanted to shed some light on that, give some insight, and just kind of educate on this job and what it could be and what it may be and what it may not be. So hope this helped. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to hear more, I have an entire playlist about Alex Murdaugh and the prison experience based off my experience and my connections to the inside. Make sure you check it out and please subscribe. Have a good day.